Chrome has kicked out uBlock Origin, leaving you with a light version that feels like a shadow of its former self. But what exactly sets uBlock Origin apart from uBlock Origin Lite? Watch as we compare both extensions side by side, revealing what you are sacrificing or missing after the switch, so you can decide what's your next best move. Let's start. When it comes to browser support, the original uBlock Origin, which was built on the Manifest v2 or MV2 extension platform, still enjoys a fairly broad footprint today, but it is notably absent from Chrome and Safari. Over the next few years, however, the landscape is expected to narrow further. Firefox, Brave, and possibly Opera will likely be the only ones left that support uBlock Origin. Other browsers will move entirely towards an MV3-only extension platform. Among these, Firefox stands out as the most reliable browser that will support uBlock Origin for the long term. In fact, browsers such as LibreWolf and Malvet that are based on Firefox ship with uBlock Origin out of the box. In contrast, uBlock Origin Lite is currently available on all the following browsers. Installing it on Firefox is possible but unnecessary, because uBlock Origin is far superior to uBlock Origin Lite feature-wise. For Chrome and Safari users, uBlock Origin Lite is the only choice, as uBlock Origin is not available for installation. Now that you have an idea of the level of browser support for the extensions, we'll be using Google Chrome with uBlock Origin Lite and Mozilla Firefox with uBlock Origin for the comparisons. Let's take a look at how this page looks like with uBlock Origin Lite at its default setting in the Chrome browser. Notice that some app placeholders can still be seen. Now let's take a look at the same page with uBlock Origin at its default setting in the Firefox browser. There's not much difference except that no app placeholders can be seen this time. Let's talk about how uBlock Origin differs from the Lite version in how it disables filtering on a site. Let's go to uBlock Origin Lite's panel, then move the slider all the way to the left to disable filtering for the entire site. Now let's go to uBlock Origin's panel. Notice that it's more powerful because it allows you to disable filtering for the entire site or on a per page basis. We'll just click the power button to disable filtering for the site and take a look at how the page looks. For those with sharp eyes, you'll notice that the page has less ads shown this time. Since both extensions are disabled already, it means the default ad blocking is done by the respective browsers. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions about which browser I prefer. Let's take a look at the differences in each extension's panel this time. For uBlock Origin Lite, it's a simple and rigid panel like the one you see here. There are only a limited number of actions you can perform with it. Things such as removing on-screen elements or changing the filtering mode of the current site. In comparison, the uBlock Origin panel is very informative, flexible, and powerful. You have access to the blocking statistics, and all the features you saw earlier are but a subset of the tools bar here. We'll cover the differences in how they work later. There's also a per site switches bar that is absent from uBlock Origin Lite. And the thing I like best is the visual and detailed view of all the domains that were allowed or blocked. And for those who have watched my video on uBlock Origin, you can even customize your blocking experience using dynamic rules if you switch to advanced user mode. Sadly, many of these features are not available because of the move from MV2 to MV3. Now, let's take a closer look at the differences in those features that exist in both extensions. Remove an element works exactly the same way like the element zapper, so we won't cover it. Instead, we will look at create a custom filter. It works similarly but not exactly the same way when compared to the element picker. I want you to take note that there's only one slider and a single type of filter available for selection. We'll settle for this filter and create it. Then refresh the page to verify that the page element is indeed gone, proving that it's indeed a permanent filter. And if you go back to the panel, you'll see the option to remove the custom filter you just created. The element picker works similarly to what you saw earlier, except that it's more powerful. Let's look at the differences. Notice that you can create network or cosmetic filters here, whereas you can only create cosmetic filters in the Lite version. We'll settle for the same filter as the one we created for uBlock Origin Lite earlier. You also have access to 2 sliders instead of 1 when creating cosmetic filters. We'll also refresh the page to verify that the page element is indeed gone, proving that the cosmetic filter we just created is indeed permanent as well. Let's look at the other similar feature that exists both in uBlock Origin and uBlock Origin Lite. And that's how you can let the developers know about issues you are facing. Here, it's straightforward. Just follow the instructions and you're done. For uBlock Origin, click this icon. You also need to update the filter list first before you can continue with the rest of the page. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same as what's in uBlock Origin Lite. Now let's turn our attention to the dashboard. If you have forgotten how to do so, just click the individual extensions gears icon. We'll start things off in the dashboard with the settings tab, then move through the other tabs one by one. Let's first talk about the strict blocking field. For those who do not know what is strict blocking, it's basically a warning page that is shown when a filter kicks in, as you see in this example. It's a feature I personally find very helpful, as I had shown in my uBlock Origin video. In uBlock Origin, the strict blocking feature is always on. In uBlock Origin Lite, however, strict blocking is optional, as you see here. And if you are using uBlock Origin Lite on Safari, this option is sadly not available due to an issue with Safari's MV3 implementation. Next is the develop mode field. This is uBlock Origin Lite's way of allowing more technical users to further customize the extension. It's not recommended for normal users. We will enable it here because it's relevant to some of the stuff I want to show you later in this video. And in case you missed it, a new develop tab has also appeared. In comparison, uBlock Origin's way of allowing more technical users to further customize the extension is by enabling the I am an advanced user checkbox. No new tabs are shown, but additional hidden settings are made available, and users will be able to add custom dynamic rules via the extension's overview panel. Now let's dive into the filter list side of things, because that's really where the two extensions diverge. uBlock Origin Lite lives inside MV3's declarative net request framework, which imposes a strict 30,000 rule ceiling per extension. To stay under that limit, the developers had to prune many of the larger community lists and strip out any syntax that isn't supported. Currently, only the following lists are enabled, and they are updated only when the extension itself is updated. And if you are using uBlock Origin Lite on Safari, even less lists are available or enabled. That's because Safari's MV3 implementation is still a bit problematic at the moment. uBlock Origin, by contrast, comes with more lists, with the option to import custom lists if you wish to do so. And since it uses a legacy web requests API, there's essentially no hard cap on how many rules you can load. The filtering rules inside uBlock Origin's list are also more powerful than those in uBlock Origin Lite's list due to the difference between MV2 and MV3. The best part is that the list can be updated automatically or in an impromptu manner, thus ensuring you are well protected against the latest ads, trackers, and other malware. The Custom Filters tab is empty by default, except for the import and export buttons. The cosmetic filter you see here was created using the Create Custom Filter feature earlier. Notice how they are grouped according to the host name. The My Filters tab is where uBlock Origin stores its user-created cosmetic filters. The ones you see here was created using the Element Picker feature earlier. Notice how different it looks compared to uBlock Origin Lite's filter, despite both filters achieving the same result of removing the page element permanently. In case you missed it earlier, you won't see this tab unless you enable the relevant option in the Settings tab. This tab is meant for technical users and you shouldn't mess with it if you're unsure what it does. I won't go into details, but only cover the more interesting parts that are similar to uBlock Origin. The first thing we want to look at are the DNR rules, which you can add to the area here for testing. DNR stands for Decorative Network Request and is how uBlock Origin Lite makes use of MV3 to filter content. The next thing is the Filtering Mode Details option. Remember when we disabled filtering on a site earlier in the video? That site is listed here. The DNR rules you saw earlier are meant for browsers that have implemented MV3. uBlock Origin requires MV2 to work, and so its rules are different from those of uBlock Origin Lite and reside in the My Rules tab. And to find out which sites were blocked in uBlock Origin, just turn to the Trusted Sites tab. And finally, we come to the About tab. It contains information about uBlock Origin Lite itself. What I want you to take note of is that there is also a Troubleshooting Information section that is helpful when you ask for help regarding uBlock Origin Lite. Unlike uBlock Origin Lite, uBlock Origin uses two different tabs to represent similar information. The Support tab is more detailed and actionable. It is also where the Troubleshooting Information section can be found. The About tab contains information about uBlock Origin itself. Now that we've covered some of the similarities and differences, what are some of the actions you can take? Well, if you're stuck with Chrome or Safari, uBlock Origin Lite is your only option. But if you can keep a Chromium-friendly browser that still accepts MV2 extensions, stick with uBlock Origin for the richest feature set. Whatever the case may be, my personal opinion is that you should start looking at an alternative or secondary browser that is both privacy-focused and will support uBlock Origin in the long run, because uBlock Origin is simply superior in its features and also offers the most timely and best protection of the two extensions. I hope you find this video helpful. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.